Tonight, quote, what in God's name is going on with Gavin Newsom?
Great question, Erin Burnett. The progressive poster child, Gavin Newsom, is flipping on all of these popular progressive issues. Why is he doing that? Is it a rebrand so he can run for president? Or does this display an even bigger problem for the entire Democrat Party and their policies? Is it a combination of both? Let's dive in.
Tonight, quote, what in God's name is going on with Gavin Newsom? That's a headline, and there's headline after headline asking that sort of question as the country is trying to figure out how he went from progressive hero and governor of the most liberal state in the country to interviewing and spending time with MAGA favorites like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk on his new podcast. Tonight, our K-File looked into that, finding that Newsom, well, he's really completely changed his tune on some of the most hot-button issues for Democrats. K-File's Andrew Kaczynski joins me now. And Andrew, I mean, just going through some of these, he's got this podcast, and the concept was he wanted to talk to the other side, right? He was going to go into the lion's den. And you remember back in the day when he did that debate with DeSantis, right? This is consistent. Yeah. So his first time, though, he goes out and he back.
This is more than that. This is what we're seeing now. This wasn't just to talk to the other side. First of all, how does Gavin Newsom have time to do a podcast as the governor of California, a state that's in disarray? How does he have time to do a podcast? I've asked the question before. I still don't have an answer to that question, how this guy has time out of his day to do a podcast. I think Gavin Newsom is doing this, not to jump into the lion's den. It was to put himself on a platform where he can lend credibility to himself to say, I've evolved. I see the light now. That's why I don't think any of these conservatives should even give him the time of day. I know it's tempting to go on there and just slam dunk on him all day, but don't even humanize him at this point to give him the platform to be able to say, oh, I agree with you, because he's lying. He's a complete liar. He always has been. He always will be. You look up slick politician in the dictionary, there's a picture of Gavin Newsom right there.
Away from some unpopular progressive policies, even ones that he's championed. So let's talk about the word Latinx. Just 2 weeks ago, here's what he said about it.
By the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
But where did that even
No more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about?
But there was a person who used Latinx. It was actually a really important person. It was him. Right?
Yeah, that's right. And look, these aren't minor shifts. These are progressive issues that Gavin Newsom used to champion until fairly recently. And now he's not just walking away from them. He's sort of acting like they were never legitimate with that clip talking about Latinx in the first place. But let's take Latinx. We did find somebody who used it repeatedly in his office. Let's take a listen to this.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. The Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
I always think, do they forget that there's now an internet where we can go back and find all this stuff? And not only us, news organizations, when they actually want to do reporting, like CNN is doing right now, okay, they can go back and find this stuff and just make them look absolutely ridiculous, like Gavin Newsom does right now. Did they even? It's incredible.
And look, Erin, those aren't the only times that we found that he used it. He also used it a lot on social media. Look at a few of these right here. You see there, that is a lot of use of Latinx by him for somebody who said that nobody in his office has ever used that phrase.
Right.
Nobody in his office did. He just did. Right. Maybe that's what he meant.
Right. So that was put upon him. All right. So he's also rewriting history a bit on his stance on transgender issues, which he had a point of view on his podcast again just 2 weeks ago. Here's where he is now.
It turns out in 2014, years before I was governor, there was a law established the legal principles that allow trans athletes in women's sports. But the issue of fairness is completely legit. It is an issue of fairness, and I think Democrats have lost it.
Yeah, Democrats, not me, just Democrats. This guy is a stone cold liar. Stone cold liar. California, like I said, poster child, poster state for all this nonsense with men and women's sports.
Now, he didn't always feel that way.
No, that's right. And look, in that statement, he's kind of making it sound like he wasn't involved in this at all. He's like, oh, it was in 2014, years before I was governor. Like, you mean when you were the lieutenant governor? When you actively defended and praised that law? And one of the videos that we found was actually him praising not just the governor at the time, Jerry Brown, but the California state legislature for putting that in place at the time. Take a listen to this.
Thank you for what you did on civil rights for students in our schools, transgender rights.
Gavin Newsom's hair hasn't moved in 11 years, everybody. We just confirmed it.
In this state,
I mean, okay, so then there's that. Then there's transgender issues, right? Transgender policies. The governor referenced your own reporting on Kamala Harris's support for those taxpayer-funded sex change operations for detained migrants, right? Remember here when we had that conversation? Okay. It sifted the presidential campaign, right? That moment here. So,
is it me? Does almost look like it's painting Erin Burnett to report on this? What's going on at CNN? Because this is actually legitimate reporting on somebody that's quote unquote on their side, and it's not good for that person. And yesterday they did a report on the swatting that's been going on against conservative influencers. They actually covered it and actually did a decent report on it. Is there something going on at CNN where they may be saying, maybe we're tired of losing money? I think it's too late, but are they trying to maybe report a little bit more honestly? Maybe.
Here he is talking about it.
Trump's for you, she's for they, them.
And
devastating.
Devastating.
And she didn't even react to it, which was even more devastating.
So he's referring to the ad that they put out using the clip from when you were here.
Yeah, bad news for Gavin Newsom coming up when it comes to Kamala Harris, by the way. Stick around.
Only a handful of years ago, though, he agreed with Kamala Harris on this very issue.
Yeah, and it has been the law in California to allow transition care for prisoners since 2017. Gavin Newsom didn't speak out or say anything about it until now.
Because he supports
5 years later when it became a political liability. And in fact, he signed a landmark transgender rights bill for prisoners that affirmed their right to have this type of care. And he approved a state Medicaid expansion that also extended gender-affirming care to undocumented immigrants. So his record on this—
he supports this stuff, all of it—
is really not matching the rhetoric that he was putting out in that podcast.
Right. So what's he saying tonight about all this?
So we reached out to their spokespeople. They declined to comment on record. They sent us on background comments that said that he's worked to protect transgender youth. They said, quote, Latinx is not a term that is regularly used by the administration, and they did not clarify his comments on transgender prisoners at all, saying only that the governor's comments speak for themselves.
All right. Well, I guess they do.
Yeah, they do. And if you're going to come out and start to go against this stuff, you need to really detail why you changed your mind. You can't just go to Charlie Kirk. Yeah. I mean, it's a question of fairness. You're right. Whoa, hold on a minute. Your state is, like I said, the poster state, along with probably like Minnesota, because you have that Tim Walz character there. What a moron he is. The poster state for this issue of boys playing against girls. Poster state. And you've been behind it the whole way. Like this guy just said, you've been signing legislation, transgender legislation, helping everything. Prisoners getting the taxpayer footing the bill for surgeries, all this stuff, craziness. And now because you want to run for president and now you've realized that the rest of the country, it's a 90-10 issue against you. Now you're going to change? Is anybody buying this? Tell me in the comments, is anybody buying this for a second? I'm not. And like I said, I don't think any conservatives or Republicans should even entertain Gavin Newsom on his podcast. Don't even give him the mouthpiece. Let him tell his fellow Democrats what he just said to Charlie Kirk and what he just said, about transgender with Latinx and all these other things he's changing his mind on. All of it. It's ridiculous. The guy's a literal chameleon in real time. Let's look at the bad news now for Gavin Newsom when it comes to Kamala Harris. It's not good. And this is really not good for the Democrats as a whole. So we got Kamala Harris. If right now the Democratic primary was held for president, Kamala Harris is leading by 36% of the vote. The person in second is Pete Buttigieg at 10%. AOC, 5%, Walz, 5%, Newsom, 5%. And then the list, Cuban, Shapiro, Booker, Whitmer, Pritzker, Bashir, Klobuchar, Murphy, Polis, Fetterman, more. Raphael Warnock? I mean, you want to talk about absolutely nobody on the bench. Kamala Harris isn't even basically throwing herself in the mix right now to run for president. And Kamala Harris is blowing everybody away. She's leaning more towards running for governor of California to replace him. And still, she's way out in front when it comes to the Democrat Party with their voters want to run for president. Oh, my God. I mean, they're in big trouble. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Would you agree with me to say, I don't think conservatives should even entertain Gavin Newsom and give him the chance, give him that off-ramp? I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Why are you doing it? It's not worth it. It's not going to help you at all. You're the bigger person to talk to. You don't need to talk to Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom needs you. You don't need him. and don't give him the off-ramp. He doesn't deserve it. So tell me what you guys think in the comments. Appreciate you watching. If you haven't yet, please like the video, share the video, subscribe. I'll see you next time right here at Opinions Vary.
Opinions vary.